Hello everyone and welcome back to more from me. That's Ross at Britain's Hidden History and the strange one over there who I think you've seen before. Now, big news in the last couple of weeks is that to me it's more evidence that screams that Sutton Hoo is not Scandinavian. I mean, all these guesses of Raedwelt and Angles and whatever, none of them fit the latest evidence, and it's quite fascinating to see how they'll try to get around this to make sure it's somehow it's got to be Angle and we'll make everything else fit. Okay, so to give you an idea here, let's go back to the top. This is how the Daily Mail dealt with it, and actually, in fairness to the Daily Mail, it's quite a good reflection of the research that was presented. Okay, well, how it was presented, slightly different. All right, so what we're saying is some little lumps of bitumen was found on the ship, and they've previously thought it was Swedish, and it's part of the proof. They call it Stockholm resin, and it's made from these wonderful trees up in Northern Europe, and therefore, where else could it come from? Well, 70 years on, technology's improved, they've re-examined the samples, and no, it's not, it's bitumen. And disingenuously, it says it's from the Middle East. Actually, it might come from the Middle East. We'll come on to that in a second. Right, now the discovery adds weight to the idea that our early medieval ancestors may have traded far and wide. This is why it's not fair, you see, because if anything is found to be Germanic anyway, Anglo-Saxon, whatever, or Roman, then obviously it must come from there, and those people are there, and it's a proof. Whereas if something from somewhere else is found, maybe Britain, and it's British, then it's just a trade good, or they've got it through some other means. The site never becomes British. Because you'll see other videos I've done on this, and I'm going to do more about Sutton Hoo. All the evidence there seems to scream British, not Anglo-Saxon. There you go. Not that it makes any difference. Right, I want to keep this quite short, so let's keep going. So here's this lumps of black tar-like lumps, very rare. And you might use this as a sort of a glue or to repair things, stuff like that, okay? So here it is, Europe. Previously, the substance was thought to be locally, when they say locally, they mean Northern Europe, produced Stockholm Tar, used to repair the ship. Nope, nothing to do with repairing the ship. They've also seen that the ship is a very low draft, and it wouldn't be able to make any sea crossings, so the ship was probably made locally as well, which makes it even more strange that they are saying that the bitumen comes from the Middle East. But anyway, it's a bit like it is likely the bitumen was also included deliberately in the burial chamber, like the jewellery and silverware, either fashioned into an ornamental object or simply presented as a prestigious raw material. Quite impressed, actually, that the Daily Mail has got quite good detail. So anyway, it's obviously not Anglo-Saxon. So, it was obviously, this is where it gets a bit weird now, of course. It's a diplomatic gesture or acquired through trading links. The far-reaching network, all right? So, this find provides the first material evidence indicating that the extensively exploited Middle East bitumen sources were traded northward beyond the Mediterranean to reach Northern Europe and the British Isles. Well, if you follow Britain's hidden history, you'll know that the links with this area around the Black Sea, I hope you can see my mouse today, couldn't see it yesterday, Eastern Mediterranean and Black Sea are what Britain's hidden history is all about. They say the migration was from there, obviously interaction with the Roman Empire. You've got Constantine founding Constantinople, later becoming, Istanbul, Byzantium, same city. Hugely strong British links there, but which would tend to infer that the site Sutton Hoo is British, because they keep finding more and more items from the Eastern Mediterranean that tie in with the British history and trade routes and not with the northern ones. But hey, don't let the evidence get in the way of a good story. I love this map as well. As you can see, all these areas in Europe where the silver mines and all the trade goods and all that's supposed to have come from, face out towards the British kingdoms, as it were, and nothing up in the north apart from a shield. But hey, it's from the north, alright? Just stay with that. I'm going to do another video soon on the Vendel helmets, which is another one. The Sutton Hoo helmet. It's a Vendel helmet. It's clearly Scandinavian. See how many Scandinavian Vendel helmets you can find. You'll be shocked, alright? Have a look. Have a look. See how many you can find outside Britain and where that whole theory comes from. So there's the boat, which is probably wrong anyway. For a start, it should show you the metal rivets, which is how they found the site. Anyway, let's not go into that. Let's not go into the boat. Let's just stick to this one thing for now about the bitumen. And it says, there's a lot of, see the possible Syrian origin, right? Don't forget, the British claim to migrate from there. Possible Syrian origin of the bitumen is particularly interesting, given that other items in imperial assemblage have also been linked from there. Right. This is another website which is fantastic. The Conversation, now some propaganda. Disinformation is dangerous. Listen to experts. I think that's what you call, what do you call it? Anyway, when the front of the sentence doesn't agree with the back of the sentence in this instance. Anyway, so here we go. So we got there, bitumen discovered. There's the shape of the boat, found on the back of the metal rivets that were left traces in the soil. None of the wood was left. British tend to use metal rivets. Scandinavians use wooden bungs. Hey, why? It still can't possibly be British. It's never even discussed as possibly being British, which is what I find the most frustrating thing. Look at all the evidence, weighing it all up. You might say, it's probably more likely to be Anglo-Saxon. I could live with that. It's more likely to be British. You could live with that. But no, we can't even look at the British possibility. It is Anglo-Saxon, and then everything else has to fit afterwards, okay? All right, even the dating is very, very flaky. Right, so it's a very important site. You can read all this yourself if you want to. The phantom of a boat, the outline remains of a vessel probably used to ceremonially bury a warrior and his worldly goods and his famous helmet. We'll talk about that again. I put another video showing it's 90-odd% more likely to be British than Swedish or wherever they're trying to claim. All right, so here we go. The museum had catalogued the lumps as pine tar. Right, they're so confident, so absolutely. We've got the evidence for 70 years, pine tar. No, it's not pine tar. It doesn't come from anywhere up in Sweden. It comes from possibly Britain, as we'll see, or it comes from Eastern Med. But doesn't change anything. It's still Anglo-Saxons, right? We believe in experts. We believe knowledge must inform decisions. I love this. It's cracking, isn't it? Why aren't you using any of the information that you found in this latest thing to maybe reappraise your views? Anyway, okay. So I'm not similar sort of thing as you saw in the Daily Mail, and explains how they tracked it down, all this kind of stuff. Right, here we go. So far, Sutton Hoo Tar has the strongest match to a bitumen deposit in modern-day Syria. While this might seem surprising, not to me at all. If it's British, it's totally expected. Surprising for a Swedish boat, yes. Many foreign exotic treasures have been found at Sutton Hoo, yes. So it's weird, this kind of circular logic that it's not surprising that something shouldn't be there has been found, because lots of things that shouldn't be there have been found. Anyway, another surprise is blah, blah, blah. Right, what I want to do here now, why are the Syrian tar there? Hang on a second. Oh, well, that's kind of it for that. I thought they said a bit more. One of the things they did say, and I think it's in this article, I've got a more detailed science one in a second I'll come on to, but I think if you look through there, it does say there are British bitumen sources in the west of Britain. Oh, it must be the next article. But it's unlikely to be them because they didn't trade with the Angles, didn't get on. Can't state the obvious yet again, but maybe it is British then, and that's why it's there. Anyway, here we go. It's a bit more scientific. I'm not going to go through all the clever science they did. Right, it's probably a bit small for you. I apologise for that. So you can see the links. Fragments of black organic material originally identified as Stockholm Tar, linked to waterproofing and maintenance of the ship. So they make up these theories, right? Always all to do waterproofing of the ship, and it's how the Vikings did it, and yada, yada, yada. And then they go, it's not Stockholm Tar. Oh, maybe it's not Viking. Maybe it's not from Scandinavia. No, that's not the reaction. It's like, well, they must use something else then. No, at no point is any kind of rethink. Here we go. I hope you can read this, because it's. I'll read it out anyway. Right, but the novelty of the material itself may have added to the exotic appeal. Because Angles don't have this stuff, so let's put it in the grave because it's exotic. Let's just waste this rare commodity. Anyway, archaeological finds of bitumen from this and earlier periods in Britain are extremely rare, despite the abundance of natural sources of bitumen within Great Britain. This find provides the first material evidence indicating that the extensively exploited Middle Eastern bitumen sources were traded northward beyond the Mediterranean to reach Northern Europe and the British Isles. And what it goes through there, they try then to show that there are sources of bitumen in Britain, but they test one in Shropshire, they test one up north, they don't test any others. And what they try and do is prove that it's from the far east side of the Med rather than being British bitumen. And it's very scientific, very technical. I'm not sure how convincing their argument is. They seem not very confident, really, because they mention there's lots of coulds and should be's, and this seems to match. Anyway, someone more scientific can look at that. To my mind, either way, it's either from Britain and it's British, or it's from Eastern Med, which is still make it British. But there you go. So this is funny as well. Consistent with the traditions of its immediate northern and central European neighbours, e.g. the site of the ship burial itself, and the analogy of the Sutton Hoo helmet and shield with examples found in contemporaneous, they've decided they're contemporaneous, they don't have to be contemporaneous, they don't have to be the same time, they've just decided that because the time they picked fits with Angle's arriving. They could be much older. There's no way of dating what they found, alright? Anyway, so, and also Vendel and Varsgård ship burials from eastern Sweden. So it's not even a bit nearest to Britain, but what I want to point out to you here as well is go and have a look and see how many ship burials or boat-shaped mines you can find in Northern Europe, and then see how many you can find all over Britain. There's loads in Wales. We've done site visits to them. You can see it in the other videos. And it's attributed to Redveld, however you say that, 624 AD, King of East Anglia. And then you see, this is the other thing then, you see, because there's loads of gifts in there which are not Anglian. So what they do then, it's a high status grave and it shows all the trading that's going on. So once again, you've got the situation where the goods aren't Anglian, so they're traded. If they were Anglian, he's because he brought them. You see, I hope I'm getting this across here. It can't be the case that the British goods are there because it's British, and then the other goods are traded. Oh, don't ring me now. Sorry, you're gonna have to wait a second. So right, anyway, if you go through here, what you'll find, oh my goodness, it's such a densely packed article. I will put the links in the description below, but it does mention in here that there are other goods. There are other goods in there which do not match with this, and they say they must be traded or something like that. Yeah. So as you you go through all the science, carbon analysis, isotopy, all this kind of thing. I do have a bit of a science background, but not to this level. And reading the results, it does seem to be a little bit, all right, it could be that one, could be this one. They didn't test from the west of Britain at all, really, well, apart from Shropshire, which is west of England, but the Seven-Ositis kicks in. You can't cross the River Severn. You just can't, okay? So it says so it's clear that the Sutton Hoo residues were originally misidentified and they are bituminous materials rather than conifer tars. So the one bit of evidence that could tie this to Northern Europe or Sweden was it's from conifer tar. It's not. So even that's gone. So I would say none of the evidence at all fits in with this being Anglo-Saxon, and it's about time the whole thing got revisited and looked at again. Let's quick look. There's, oh my goodness, I've got how big this article was. It's quite a dull read, to be honest. But conclusions. There we go. This is the bit I was looking for. The possible Syrian origin of the bitumen is particularly interesting, given that other items in the burial assemblage have been linked to this region. Finally, some acknowledgement that the bowl and the spoons and all this are coming from that region. They're not coming from up Sweden way or something like that. Okay, and it does, if you dig into the article, I've been answering this phone call, it does dig into the article, things like the bowl with the Star David on it, and the writing, none of these things are at all Scandinavian, I'm afraid. And that site is looking more and more British as more and more evidence comes out. So, okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I better go and collect the missus. It's probably freezing out there somewhere. So until the next time, peace. Hello.